Tinyiko Maluleke, Deputy Vice-Chancellor at the University of Johannesburg. Good morning, Professor, and welcome. Thank you for joining us on AM News.
Good morning, Lorette, and it's a pleasure to speak to you.
It's a dreadful situation, isn't it? Could you tell us how is the student who was shot at the moment? What's his condition?
Yeah, it is indeed a dreadful situation. But I do want to say it's a situation we face not just at the University of Johannesburg. It is a situation that many institutions of higher education in the Gauteng area are facing. We happen to be the latest, and we are open about discussing and speaking to the media about what goes on there because we think that's part of the solution. The student is doing well, is improving slowly at the hospital, stable.
What is the extent of his injuries?
I'm not able to tell that, but I can just confirm that he was shot. But the medical staff are giving us a lot of information to the extent that he is actually stable. And
Professor, what is the university administration doing to improve security around student digs, both on and off campus?
There are several things already in place. We have several CCTV cameras on campus in all the key access points and in several areas where students normally congregate. We have a few in parking areas. We want to increase the number of CCTV cameras. We want to tighten up our access protocols, the random searches, the need for identification of people who are coming, the need for people to validate who they are coming to see. We also are exploring using ununiformed security guards to move around the students, but also to make available some security guards to escort students at certain times of the day when they need to be going out of campus.
Or perhaps to isolated areas as where that lady was attacked.
Precisely, and also to include women in the preferential parking bays. You know how in the country we have parking for disabled people. We want to also have dedicated parking areas for women students, for example. But you know, out in the streets, we really need the assistance and cooperation of the Metro Police, the South African Police, because no single institution can guarantee and have the capability to foster safety out in the streets.
Now, in saying that, has the police been engaged at all in any of your campus security?
Certainly, we are talking to them and we are working very closely with them, including in terms of the criminal cases that have been opened. We are cooperating with them. But we are challenging them to work better with us and with other institutions, especially in the areas surrounding our campuses, because you know, you need all the stakeholders. You need the police, you need the Metro Police, you need your own staff members, you need a consciousness around security that will not be sufficient if you just have it inside the four walls of a campus.
Speaking of the police, any arrests that you're aware of that have been made so far?
They have arrested a young man in connection with the kidnapping case within 24 hours, maybe 36 hours after the incident, because we cooperated very closely with them and because our CCTV camera information was crucial in tracking.
So you did have that footage?
That arrest, yes, we had the footage and the arrest has been made. The person is in custody. The university has its own internal disciplinary processes, which have already started to kick in. So that, for example, in case the person gets bail and is out, that person will be immediately suspended from the university pending, the outcome of the investigations.
Just one thing that's bothered me all along, how did a vehicle, a person who didn't have an access card, how did they manage to drive out of the campus with somebody in the boot talking their way out of there? Have you looked at that, and is that person?
Yeah, we have looked at that. In fact, they didn't talk their way out at all.
Allegedly.
What happened is that they presented a card to the security guard for the gate to be opened, and of course the card did not work. But what the security guard noticed was that the person on the card and the driver were not the same. So he went out to start talking to his colleagues as to this strange car. And while he was doing that, the boom opened on the other side, and he rushed out. So it was
not an error.
He wasn't given
was doing his job
permission at all. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But we are concerned that guard took long to follow up after a car had sped out, and that guard has already been suspended because we want to communicate to all security guards that they need to be more vigilant than that.
Definitely. Professor Maluleke, thank you so much for coming in to AM News this morning.